Welcome to Geek Philosophy, where we love geeky wisdom. If you're new to the channel, my name's Brian, and I'd like to welcome you to this entry in our Learning to Play D&D series. In our last video, we discussed ability scores and the ability score bonuses that you receive because of those scores. And we also discussed proficiencies and proficiency bonuses, and we talked about the dice and provided some examples of how everything works with that stuff in the game. But in this video, we're going to be reviewing the all-important D&D character sheet. A character sheet is a document that contains all of the important information about your character in the game. It's a record of your character's abilities and skills, equipment, and other important statistics that you'll need to reference as you play. The character sheet is designed to help you keep track of all these details and your character's abilities as they progress through the game, so you'll be updating it as you level up. It also serves as a reference for you and your dungeon master when you're determining how your character interacts with the world and the challenges that they will face in the game. Character sheets can be physical, actual pieces of paper, or they can be digital files depending on your preference, and there are different tools that you can use for each of those styles. Now, there are a bunch of character sheet templates out there, but most follow a similar structure to help organize the important information that you'll need at a glance. So there are a bunch of variations, all with their own unique layouts and configurations. You could use a digital tool like D&D Beyond or Roll20, or even just a PDF on a tablet or laptop. But a printed copy will do the trick. For the purposes of this video and for consistency for everyone, I'm going to be using one of the 2014 pre-generated characters that was released with the starter set back in that year, and this is so I can remain consistent with the basic rules of the game. It was created back at the early stages of 5th edition, so these pre-generated characters are also currently available for free for everyone to kind of go in and download and use from the D&D website. I'll put a link in the description below. One thing I want to mention, some of these sections aren't really classified by a specific label, so I'll be mentioning some labels that I give the entire section as we go. It may not be consistent with what Wizards of the Coast or other people intend, but it's just something to help group the information in a way that makes sense. And the first section in this category is the Character Essentials section, and that includes your character's name, class, level, background, race, and alignment. Character's name is pretty self-explanatory. It's the name that you gave your character when you're starting. Don't sleep on that. That can be a hard decision to make. The class and level and background define what kind of character that you're playing and what skills and abilities that you have. Next, let's move into the abilities, skills, and proficiency section. This section includes your character's ability scores and the modifiers for those scores like we talked about in the previous video. It also includes that proficiency bonus, saving throws, skills, and passive wisdom or passive perception, and some other proficiencies in languages. If you remember in our last video, you'll know that these are pretty important to D&D. Your ability scores determine your character's natural talents and abilities. Each of these ability scores, as you'll remember, has an associated modifier, and these modifiers impact a lot of stuff on this character sheet, including your skills. When your character attempts a task that's related to a skill, they'll add their ability modifier to their roll. For example, when attempting to climb a wall, the character would add their strength modifier to the roll. The proficiency bonus is a bonus that's added on top of that if you are proficient in those certain actions. Now, saving throws are used to resist certain types of effects like spells or even a trap that you might set off. Each ability score has an associated saving throw, and if your character is proficient in that saving throw, you get to not only add the ability modifier, but you guessed it, your proficiency bonus to the roll. If you haven't figured it out, the abilities are pretty integral to the game. Now, sometimes your DM will mention that your character notices something. Maybe something that the other characters don't. Maybe it's a hidden enemy or a trap or some other important detail that you weren't actively searching for. This is a passive check. You're not actively looking around for it, but because you're naturally observant, you get to see those things. And that's based on your passive wisdom or passive perception. So if your passive perception is high enough, you may notice things without even actively searching for them. Okay, so moving on to the combat information section. You've got your character's armor class, initiative, speed, hit point maximum, current hit points, temporary hit points, hit dice, and death saves. Hit points represent how much damage your character can take before they're knocked out or sometimes killed. Your hit point maximum is determined by your character's class and level and your constitution modifier. As you take damage in the game, you'll subtract the damage from your current hit points. When your current hit points reach 0, your character is unconscious and begins making death saving throws. We'll talk about that in a second. Temporary hit points provide a buffer against damage, and you use these temporary hit points before you use your regular hit points. Sometimes they're common in the game, sometimes they're not. Just something to know about if you happen to run across temporary hit points in your first few sessions. Now, hit dice are used to recover hit points during a short rest and for other conditions. So let's say that your group has decided to take a short rest and they're able to, then you can decide how many of those hit dice that you can roll to get some hit points back. You have a number of hit dice equal to your character's level, and you regain half of the spent hit dice after completing a long rest, basically after getting a good night's sleep. Now, I mentioned death saves. You drop down to 0 hit points, and then you have to determine whether your character lives or dies. When your character is unconscious, they make a death saving throw on each of your turns. A roll of 10 or higher is basically a success, so awesome. But if you roll a 9 or lower, that's a failure. You have to get 3 successes to stabilize. That means you're stable and you don't have to keep making these checks anymore, but 3 failures mean your character dies. Hey, if you roll a natural 20, then you're back up with 1 hit point. But if you roll a natural 1, you fail 2 death saves instead of 1 death save. So yeah, hopefully you don't roll a 1. Now, the attacks and spellcasting section. Your attacks are those various weapons and spells that you can use during combat. And this is sort of a quick way to put your key things that you use quite often right here at a glance. The attack bonuses and damage determine how effective your attacks are and what kind of damage they deal. And those notes at the bottom, like I said, give you additional details about how you can use those things. So the notes are kind of up to you. How do you want to write those down? Now, in this example, for this pre-generated character, this dwarven cleric could move close to their enemy and attack with their hand axe with an attack bonus of +4. That means they would roll a d20 and add a 4 to their roll when attacking. If they hit, they would roll 1d6 for damage and add +2 because of their strength modifier. And the notes tell you how to adjust this if they want to throw the hand axe instead of run up and hit it with a melee attack. Now, the equipment section lists your character's armor and gear and other items, and their money. This section helps you keep track of what you have, what your character has access to as they're traveling around and adventuring during the game. As you progress through the game, you'll acquire more wealth and items, and you can use this stuff to improve your character's abilities and equipment. But we're not talking about dollars and cents here. In D&D, we use copper pieces, silver pieces, electrum pieces, which really aren't as common, gold pieces, and platinum pieces. So keep an eye out for treasure during the game. That coin will come in handy. I call this next section the character's role-playing touchstones. Like I said, that's my name for it. It's not canon. You won't really hear that many other places, I don't think. But this section includes your character's personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, which help define their personality and backstory. These were introduced in 5th edition. That doesn't mean people didn't roleplay their characters in previous editions. It just means that 5e wanted to make a point to call these things out when they were creating their characters and learning the game to emphasize roleplay. These elements help you create a unique character that is interesting to play and interact with, and I would also suggest that because people and characters aren't static, these traits may change over time if you like. Since this is a pre-generated character, they already have stuff filled out, so I would suggest that you come up with your own ideas for these if you'd like. Now, the features and traits section includes important information about abilities that are granted by your character's race and class and background and other things that they might have based on feats and other important elements of the game. These elements work together to create a unique set of abilities and attributes that make your character stand out from the other characters. So let's take a closer look at the back of this pre-generated character sheet. And this contains additional details about the character's race, class, and background. The race description and features provides a little bit more information about your character's race and includes any special abilities or attributes that they possess based on that racial background. The class information section provides you details about your character's class and includes any additional features that you gain at higher levels. Now, the character background section here provides a bit of backstory for your character and includes their goals, past, present, and future. I really like the pre-generated characters because they also have this gaining levels section, and it explains what happens as your character accumulates experience through adventuring. As your character gains levels, they become more powerful, and they gain additional hit points, new spells, and other features that are specific to their class and race. At certain levels, though, they gain access to new abilities or have the opportunity to improve existing ones. For example, this pre-generated Dwarven Cleric gains the Turn Undead ability at 2nd level, but they can destroy undead with that same ability at 5th level, so it gets more powerful as they level up. Okay, hopefully some of these things are starting to fall into place for you. I hope that you found today's video useful, but if you have any questions or suggestions, please be sure to leave them in the comments below. In our next video of the series, we're going to talk about combat, and a little bit about how it works and the different types of actions and things you'll be able to do when you're in the combat round itself. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the little notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the new content. Now, I'd like to leave you with a little geek philosophy from Travis McElroy, the co-host of the Adventure Zone podcast. It's not the numbers on your character sheet that matter. It's the story you tell with them. Cheers.